The London underworld is in disarray following the carnage of Season 1. New players fill the hole left by the broken ceasefire between the Stevenson and Harrigan families. Betrayed by both families, Harry de Souza disappears, but not before making a plan. The crime families are under pressure from both sides of the law as MI5 and Interpol begin their investigation. Secrets from the past start to surface as a vicious Eastern European cartel seizes territory. With Maeve Harrigan now the only matriarch of a collapsing kingdom and Conrad Harrigan found to be alive and hiding in Montenegro, London falls into a war zone, and Harry returns determined to get revenge. MobLand returns with more treachery, power struggles, and retaliation than ever before, following the violent aftermath of Season 1. A new threat emerges from the east as the tenuous ceasefire between the Stevenson and Harrigan crime families breaks down, pushing long-standing adversaries to consider the unimaginable, cooperating. Harry de Souza is torn between unresolved grudges, family legacies, and a mysterious government interest that might be pulling the strings when he reappears in London after disappearing into the underground. Now that she is running her empire alone, Maeve Harrigan has to outsmart a rival cartel, a vindictive husband, and a city that is becoming more unstable. If she can make it through, Detective Grace Lynn is getting closer to revealing the entire scheme. Season 2 promises a deeper exploration of the morally dubious core of London's criminal elite as new alliances are formed and old ones fall apart. This time, the battle is for the city's soul rather than merely its land. Season 2 of MobLand. Every empire collapses. Some are the first to burn. Soon will be available on Paramount+. The conflict between the Stevensons and the Harrigans ended abruptly and violently in the season finale of Ronan Bennett's MobLand, and the main players in the Harrigan criminal organization entered a larger and more perilous world. Harry de Souza finally put a stop to the fight with the Stevensons after Conrad and Maeve were imprisoned. The identity of the rat that had been providing Richie with intelligence for months was one of the many mysteries surrounding the inner circle of the Harrigans that were resolved en route to the dramatic denouement. The key protagonists in the Harrigan criminal organization entered a broader and more dangerous world in the season finale of Ronan Bennett's MobLand, where the struggle between the Stevensons and the Harrigans ended abruptly and viciously. With Conrad and Maeve in jail, Harry de Souza eventually ended the altercation with the Stevensons. Along the way to the dramatic climax, the numerous secrets surrounding the inner circle of the Harrigans were unraveled, including the identity of the rat that had been giving Richie intelligence for months. In order for Harry, Kevin, Paul, Souza, and Kiko to kill the South London criminal lord and all of his soldiers in a simultaneous ambush, Harry leveraged Richie's faith in the Harrigans' own attorney, O'Hara Delaney. Refocused by the exorcism of his longtime tormentor, jail guard Alan Rusby, Kevin asserts his claim to the throne of the Harrigan criminal empire in another scene. Kevin fully rejected Eddie after establishing that he was, in reality, Conrad's son with his wife, Bella, and labeled him Conrad's problem rather than his own. Even though the battle with the Stevensons was resolved and many of the secrets of MobLand's first season were resolved, the finale did a lot to set up an unconfirmed second season. In contrast to the London-based areas they shared with the Stevensons, the events of Season 1 unintentionally drew the Harrigans into a far bigger criminal underworld. The members of the Harrigan crime organization, as well as the next group of adversaries whose anger has been aroused, have a lot of stories to tell in the next stage of their development. Compared to the large action set pieces that dominated the middle parts of the final episode, the final moment in MobLand Season 1 was far more intimate. Jan eventually let out her anger, fear, and irritation at being stuck in their current risky lifestyle with Gina after Harry brought her back to the safe house. Jan made a slight Freudian slip out of frustration and unintentionally stabbed Harry in the chest with a kitchen knife. Although his destiny is left out in the air, Tom Hardy is most likely not going to die from his wound given his prominence in the show and his cool-headed response to the stabbing. To be honest, the cliffhanger is probably a preemptive move in case Tom Hardy is unable or unwilling to return for a second season of MobLand. They can now easily write him off the show and give Jan, played by Joanne Froggatt, a dilemma to resolve. Conrad leaves his prison cell at the very end of the episode, flanked by the other inmates. They greet him with acclaim and cheers, which Conrad takes full advantage of since, as has been said multiple times, he is primarily concerned with maintaining his own reputation. Formerly the most feared crime lord in London, Conrad, 100 Guns, Harrigan certainly gained the respect and admiration of criminals throughout the city. Conrad, who is now incarcerated alongside the others, is praised for his decades of notorious evil. To be honest, the explanation for Maeve's constant plotting is a little tenuous and nearly seems to have been invented on the moment. But when she and Conrad discuss the burners they smuggled into their prison cells, Maeve says that everything she did, whether it was calling the police anonymously to put them on Harry's trail, giving Richie Stevenson the location of Serafina, or sicking Eddie on Tommy Stevenson and starting a war, was part of her own personal test. Additionally, the conclusion gives much-needed background on why Maeve detested Serafina and was so attached to Eddie. Maeve fell in love with Eddie before he was even a teenager, even though she always knew he wasn't her grandson. In essence, she has been preparing him to be the heir to the Harrigan Empire, which is her top priority. In order to continue ruling vicariously now that Eddie is in charge, Maeve also plans to become the queen of his realm, something that would not have been feasible with an adult Serafina at the head of the table, given that Kevin Harrigan was raised by parents who were involved in a criminal organization. Conrad and Maeve, his life has surely been terrible. He was often raped and incarcerated, which increased his susceptibility to his malevolent father's wishes. Kevin lived with a wife who secretly chased his closest friend and was misled for years about the true identity of his believed son. According to the MobLand climax, Kevin started regaining control over his own life as well as the Harrigan criminal organization. With Conrad and Maeve still alive, Kevin's path to the throne won't be an easy one. He has Harry's love and respect, but he'll need to earn it from all soldiers in the Harrigan crime organization if he is to truly rule the empire. Not only that, it will fall to Kevin to make his enemies and rivals respect and fear him. Richie might be gone, but Kevin now has bigger players like Jamie Lopez and Kat McAllister to contend with. His last name will only take him so far. Kevin has to earn control over the Harrigan crime empire. The season finale marked the end of the irritating lack of detail of Bella's plan involving her father, the Home Secretary, Antoine, a Frenchman, and his client, a Syrian arms dealer under sanctions. We discovered that Bella's father had been jailed on suspicion of illicit lobbying or extortion after a succession of background news broadcasts aired on her computer and phone. In order to exact revenge on her father for raping and torturing her as a kid, Bella arranged the meeting with the guns dealer in order to use video footage of his illegal activities to trap him. After saving Serafina's life in Antwerp and arranging for Conrad and Jamie to meet, Kat called in one of the favors Harry owed her when they sat down one-on-one in the MobLand season finale. Regretfully, she used Harry's assistance to eliminate the last of the Harrigans, allowing Kat to seize control of the London drug and firearms trade. Because of his unwavering devotion to the Harrigans in general and to his best buddy Kevin in particular, who was on Kat's list of targets to murder, Harry firmly declines.